Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Yay, it's Friday. My favorite day. I promise you guys I'm going to try to get back on schedule. I kind of want to be ambitious, and I would love to do 2 videos and do them in the weekdays, or the weekdays, 2 weekdays. But we'll see. Maybe in February I can do that. We'll have to see. You know, it's just weird. I have to like kind of think it through and plan it out. But I'm here. It's Friday. It's freezing still. It is so cold here. I don't know why we're having such frigid temperatures. But you know, I know we're almost in February. So, and we had a snowstorm that came last weekend. It was supposed to be big. We didn't get that much snow. So I'm really happy because we're not in, you know, when we get to February, that's when I expect the nasty weather to really appear. So we shall see. I thought today, instead of a Friday reads or whatever, I was going to do another book chat to talk about my book that I just finished, and just loved it. And that is, get it up here, is The Women by Kristin Hannah. And I am proud to say, I don't know if I had told you guys I took this in the library. I am actually going to get this back to the library on time, if not early. I'm going to bring this back on Monday. And I'm super happy because I'm like, okay, you know, I never return books on time. I kind of have a history of it. And I thought this was going to be the same situation, but this is so good. I paired it with the audio, which was phenomenal. And I did flag it. Like there's certain things that she put in here that I thought, I just want to remember, and, just certain moments in the books that I thought were kind of key. So I'm going to go back through those when I put my notes in my, book journal. But if you look at the bottom of this, video, you'll see I have a link to my blog. And like I told you in the last video, I'm going to start leaving a review on my blog when I do one on the channel. So if you click that link, you can go there and you can leave a comment. So you leave a comment or thumbs up or something like, hey, I came to check it out. I'm trying to establish really good habits again, so that I'll update it. I was really good and then I fell off, and last year was really kind of atrocious. I didn't really, you know, make a big effort, and then finally I just kind of gave up. And I really like it because I feel like talking about my blog, not the book. I like it because I feel like it is another way for me to write my thoughts. When I write freehand, I tend to be slower writing, and so typing is a lot faster, so I can get things out. And so I really like that. And I also like the digital visual review or thoughts on books. So I think that I'm going to try, as one of my goals is to try to pair book chats with book reviews on my site, so that I will, you know, it helps me. And another thing too, it helps me when it comes time for me to put it in my book journal, to have it all out and be able to look at it. And either I will verbatim put it into the book journal, or I will summarize what I did or pull parts from that and put it in there. So then I'll have my physical, you know, log of what I read. And so definitely check that out. I want to make sure I get that before I get going, because I start blabbing. This book is by Kristin Hannah. She's really well known for The Nightingale, which was the first book that I read by her, and I just really enjoyed it. And I don't know if I did, I think it was back in, when was that book? Did they come out like 2017? I'm trying to think when that came out, because I'm trying to think of when I had started my channel. I don't know if I was on here yet. I think not. Maybe, I don't know. But I remember that when I feel like I was, because I feel like I had this conversation, but when I read The Nightingale, I started and I was like, oh, the names, I'm really botching the names. And so I went to the audio to get kind of guidance, and then I just liked it so much, I stayed with the audio of that book as well. This one, I read along while it was reading to me. And I really enjoyed it. So this book is a historical fiction, and it follows a woman named Frankie what's her last name? Frankie McGrath. And she's in her 20s, early 20s. She lives in Coronado, California, and she's from a family that has a lot of means, has a lot of money. And she has one sibling, her brother's older brother. And this is in the 60s. He decides that he wants to go and join and enlist for the Vietnam War. No spoilers. Forgot to tell that to you guys because I'm not going to spoil it. I don't like to spoil anything. I just want you to get an idea of what my thoughts were or feelings or reactions. So, but I'm going to give you a little summary. Her brother enlists in the Vietnam War, and the book did a great job of showing the evolving oh God, let me get the word. See, here she goes. Basically, people were very interested in gung-ho for the war, but the sentiments changed through the duration of the war for various reasons, and people then towards the end began to really not want the war and wanted people to, wanted us to pull out of this war. And so the book made me, when I was reading it, think about how the world changed, or how this country changed its opinion from when the soldiers left, when people were very much encouraging them to go fight communism, blah, 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 right? And then when the people came back from the war. And so how jarring, how hurtful it must have felt to have gone under one premise and come back and feel like we're not all on the same page. I don't know, And that's not to say that soldiers and people that were in the war, that they didn't change their opinions while they were there. And maybe there were probably, I would say, some of them that did not want to be there, or did not see the need, or didn't want to be there anymore, didn't see the need to be there anymore. So I think the book really does a good job of getting you to get in the mindset and to empathize with how people were feeling when they came back from the war, and also when they are in the war. And it's focused on Frankie, who enlists to become a nurse in the army in the Vietnam War. And you got to see the difference in gender in terms of people's reaction to her going, or even when she came back, and versus a son going. And you got a really good firsthand look in the book, a fictionalized version of the trauma that the medical professionals and the support staff faced in the war. Because when you go into war, it's not just the soldiers. There's a whole team of people that are there to accompany, to make it a success. And so, I think she also did a great job of getting you to think about their role and how traumatizing their positions, the positions that they were put in while they were there. And when she comes back, and this isn't a spoiler, the book does a good job of showing how women were treated differently. That, when they talked about a Vietnam vet, they only thought of men that were in combat, but not anybody else that had been in that support role, right? And so even though as a nurse, she saw just as much of the gore, for lack of a better word, as a soldier would, and maybe even more than some, because she's dealing with trying to save the lives of the people as they come in to be able to either go back to the front or to go home. And so I don't know how people didn't validate or see that they could be traumatized as well, and get PTSD. And it's not like when they're there that they're in this fancy hospital that they are just away from the war so much. So they are getting under attack at times. They have scares and different things when they have to go out and travel. They have to be just as safe as the people that are out in combat. So it gave me a good perspective as a reader to think about all of the other aspects, right? At the same time, the book does a really good job. She did a really good job of talking about the different, the privilege that she was from wealthy family. She's white, and she didn't have to. She chose to enlist. But she noticed when she was dealing with a lot of the people that were coming through for care that there was a large number of Black and brown people that were there as soldiers that were coming through needing medical assistance, and thinking about the options people had to go or not to go, and why some would go or not not go. And then she talked a little about before, during, and after her stay there. And then after, I never thought, when I've thought about in the past about the Vietnam War, I always would say, I feel like I appreciate the people, the medical team that takes care of them, but you just don't really think about how much they take on, and so I just think I have a deepening appreciation now. And I also felt like there was so many times in the book that I would read, and I would read something that was just infuriating. Kristin Hanna did a lot of research for this book. If you listen to her, in the end of the book, she does an author's note, and she talks about the people and acknowledgments, the people that helped her be able to bring some of this information to light, in terms of, even though the names and these aren't exact people, the places are accurate, that she's talking about. When she did talk to people, they said, don't make up names, the cities, use the proper names. So you did get that. And I did appreciate that. And I think that she also concluded a really, I didn't know, right? So this is the beauty, again, of nonfiction and historical fiction in this case. So it says, one thing I just want to read and quote from her in her author's note. It says, not enough has been made or recorded or remembered about their service. This is talking about the women that were in Vietnam. He says, it is even difficult to get certain agreed upon numbers of the women who served in Vietnam. According to the Vietnam Women's Memorial Foundation statement, approximately 10,000 American military women were stationed in Vietnam during the war. Most were nurses in the Army, Air Force, and Navy, but women also served as physicians and medical personnel, and in air traffic control and military intelligence. Civilian women also served in Vietnam as news correspondents and workers for the Red Cross, Donut Dollies, the USO Service, Special Services, and the American Friends Service Committee, Catholic Relief Services, and other humanitarian organizations. Over 10,000. I mean, that's not a small number of people. And so I'm just really excited that she did this. The characters in here, she did a great job of developing the character. You watch the arc of Frankie and you follow her. It's called The Women because it talks about the women that are in Vietnam, but this book focuses on Frankie and two people that she makes friends with over when she is in Vietnam, and how they remain very close knit lifelong friends when they come back. And I think that um, that was beautiful to witness in the book. You also get to explore Frankie coming of age in terms of, because in the time that she was in, she was being groomed to be a wife. And that's pretty much, what they were expecting. They didn't expect her to do this. And so to decide to go off to war, to become a nurse and go off to war, was not part of the plan. Sorry. Dry. So this book, excellent. 5 for me. Because I just think that it'll stick with me. It also did what it's supposed to do. What I always say, I like a nonfiction when it makes me want to look up more information and read more. And that's what I did. Oh my gosh. But I'm glad I brought something to drink. I didn't think this would happen, but I'm sorry. Read it if you didn't. I know there was a lot of buzz about it this year because it just came out in 2024, sorry. So, right? 2024? Yeah. It just came out this past year. And I remember hearing it and I was like, yeah. But then it came up and I was like, on my on my Libby, and I was like, well, let's go. Let's go. And it was really good. So I don't know what I forgot to tell you, but I think I covered a lot of what I was thinking about it. Definitely a good read. While I'm at it, I might as well just mention this because I don't really think, this is a duology, so I really don't, actually I don't. I think I'll talk about this when I read the next one, but this is the other book that I read, and I think I mentioned this to you guys in my last video, or the video, yeah, I think the last video. I did finish this the first part of the month, and then this one I just finished. And this is really good. The other book is out. I don't know when I'm going to get to read it because next month is Black History Month, and I already have kind of like, I'm juggling. Like, I'm trying to think about what book I want to, what books I want to read. And I have two. I have two definites. I usually like to read in Black History Month graphic novels or children's books. I love to search and see what new books are out for children, young children. And so I usually like to read a couple of those, which I find fascinating because you all know that watch me. I really love the graphic illustrations from children's books. They're phenomenal. Like, I would just love to cover the walls with them. There's some that I've read that are just so beautiful. I think a room filled with that and books and a nice cozy chair and some tea and I'd be all set. But anyway, read this. What else? What else am I going to talk to you about really quickly? Oh, I did a purchase today. I'm just going to mention it because I'm just on here and it's not really a Friday Reads or anything, and it's supposed to be a book chat. But I'm going to throw in a quick book haul. I just went today to get a gift card for my sister. I'm going to go see my sister tomorrow. And I was at Barnes & Noble. And I like when things happen like this. Like, I was like, I'm going to go get the gift card, but I'm going to walk the store. And I walked around the store and this book caught my eye and I couldn't put it down. I was like, I think I'm going to read this. I think I want to read this. And I like that because sometimes I get so in the zone of my TBR and the things that I want to read that I just miss other books. So I like when this happens. So this one is another historical fiction. You see a theme here. And it's called The Lioness of Boston. And her name, it's by Franklin. And this book is about Isabel Stewart Gardner. I'm going to read the back of it to you. This museum, it's a funny thing is, like, I've gone to all sorts, so many museums. And this museum is one that I've been wanting to go to. And I don't know why, I just keep putting it off. So I saw this book that is a historical fiction, but it had so many great blurbs on it that even though I know it's not exactly her story, I think that it will still be worthwhile read, right? Because, like, again, in that last book, there were some truths, right? And you could pretty much tell what's the truths and which are just the story, right? I can't wait to see this and read this. So this one, it says, by the time Isabel Stewart Gardner opened her groundbreaking Boston mansion as a museum to showcase her collection of masterworks of art, antiques, and objects collected during decades of travel. She was already well known for scandalizing. I realize I'm just like laying down while I'm talking to you guys. Sorry, scandalizing Boston's polite society. But when she first arrived in Boston in 1861, she was newly married and too outspoken to fit in. After two devastating tragedies and a rejection from the upper society, she cast off expectations. Freed by travel, Isabella explored the world of art, ideas, and letters, meeting such kindred spirits as Henry James, Oscar Wilde, and John Singer Sargent. Is that how you say it? Sargent? From London and Paris to Egypt and Asia, she developed a keen eye for collecting art, objects, and people who, like her, struggled to find their footing in society. The Lioness of Boston is a portrait of what society expected a woman's life to be, shattered by a courageous soul who rebelled and was determined to live on her own terms. And her museum, if you can look it up, is magnificent. And they have like a beautiful garden there. They have a tea, like you can do tea, and they have performances there. Exquisite. This year, 2025, I'm going to finally go. But I don't know why. And then I opened it and I started to read like the first line, and I'm like even the quote here from her in the beginning: "Don't spoil a good story by telling the truth." Stuart Gardner. It starts out in 1924. And I read like the first few paragraphs, and I'm definitely getting it. So this is the cover. If you want to see it. So I will definitely be reading this. I probably won't read it in February, but maybe in March. Like, I'm that excited to read it. I think it's going to be great. So that was my little purchase. Did I get anything else? I went to Target today, too. No, nothing worth showing. Anyway, I'm going to get back to you guys. The next video I will be doing, because I'm not really going to do a wrap-up, because those are the two books. I didn't read that many books. I'm not even worried about it. 2025, we're just going to read what we read. The next video, I'm going to definitely do the book journal, and we'll be doing my Black History Month / February TBR of what I'm going to read. And, oh, you know what I should do? Remember my blind TBR? We are going to continue that into 2025. It was no, like, obviously we all knew I wasn't going to be able to read all those books. So I think maybe what I'll do is I will not put myself the pressure of only finishing it by that month. I may pick one in the next video for February, March. So it could go over 2 months, or go into 2 months as opposed to just one. Or I may pick more than one month. So I think we'll do that to try to see if we can get closer to reading them all. And another thing that I know I'm going to do that I already wrote, I'm writing my goals, my reading goals, is that I am going to donate 25 books. I thought for 2025, I will find 25. I need to make space for the books that I own so I can stop having piles. So you heard it here first. And I'll let you know. Maybe one way to keep myself honest, I can show you the books, and then we'll know that I actually am getting rid of them. Although, I've also already started, like, I take one here and there, but I think I'm going to start a tally. And I'm going to get 25 out. I think that it would be a nice goal. And some books I may read in the future that I didn't get to read, but they're just taking space and they don't need to be there. Or something I read and I don't need anymore. So we'll talk about that, though, in future videos. Have a lovely weekend. And I will talk to you guys again very soon. Bye.